tell you I love you, to tell you I need you, to tell you there's no better place for me than in your arms, to tell you I'm sorry for running in circles, for placing my focus on the waves, not on your face. You're the only one who brings me peace. You're the only one who brings me peace. I'm so forgetful, but you always remind me. You're the only one who brings me peace. You're the only one who brings me peace. So I come, Lord, I come. I come, Lord, I come to tell you I love you, to tell you I need you, to tell you there's no better place for me than in your arms, to tell you I'm sorry for running in circles, for placing my focus on the waves, not on your face. You're the only one who brings me peace. You're the only one who brings me peace in the storm. In the storm. I'm so forgetful, but you always remind me. Only one who brings me peace. You're the only one who brings me peace.
Woo! Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's a beautiful day. It's raining a little bit, but it's no, it's taking away
above
all
freezing.
It's above freezing.
We'll take it.
It's a win. Loving it, man. So I'm just gonna apologize ahead of time. Pastor Tom's been in here revving me up.
Pull on that motor.
Yeah. And I just gonna warn you, man. This is a heavy hitting verses today, and yeah. So while I say hi to some folks, get your Bibles. I'm gonna pull up on your screen, but if you want to, we're gonna be in the ESV, Mark 8, verses 31 through 38. And again, I've warned you, it's a little heavy hitter, but I think it's so good. And yesterday after prayer, I came over here and I opened it up and I was like, man, not again. So I don't even know. I posted this whole thing on Facebook, and this whole like post I posted on Facebook came out of this picture I saw of Reese and Louie, and like we were in Florida, and like it was like one of those pools that like it starts with nothing and then it just gets super deep. So you got this guy, you can only see his head, but then you got Reese and Louie is up to their knees. And I was like, man, if you could put the camera there at the right angle, you could make it look like Reese and Louie are walking on the water, right? And then this statement popped in my head. It was just like, man, like it's so easy to fool ourselves. Like like if when the water is shallow, it's so easy to fool ourselves in thinking that we're walking on it. And this whole post came out of that. And I've been wrestling with that. And then, Pastor Tom sets me up with this, and I'm like, oh Lord, again. I'm still dealing with the first one. And so I'm pumped to go through this with us this morning. But be warned, be warned. All right, here we go. We got Vivian Davis. Good morning. Dr. Colleen. Good morning. Chuck B. Good morning, sir. Steve Drew. Great job this morning. Trish. Good morning out there on X. Ken Gooch. Good morning. Got Bert Reggiani. Good morning, sir. Jody. Jody Glenn's out there on X as well. Connie, it was so good seeing you guys this weekend.
Mhm.
Christy Bipes, good morning, good morning. And my parents are on. And make sure you tune in at 9. My dad's going to be live. And so, yes. All right. So here we go. Let's jump in. I'm going to probably read it all the way through, and then we'll come back up. But let's pull it up for you. Look at this. Oh, nice. All right. Here we go. And Jesus, who's starting at verse 31. Alice, good morning. Alice popped on here. And he began teaching them, the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders and the chief priests and the scribes and be killed. And after 3 days, rise again. And he said this plainly. And Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. Can you imagine that? Rebuking Jesus. So Peter felt bold enough, and he starts rebuking him. But turning and seeing his disciples, he rebuked Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan, for you are not setting your minds on the things of God, but on the things of man." And calling the crowd to him with his disciples, he said to them, "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever would have saved his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake and the gospel's will save it. For what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul? For what can a man give in return for his soul? For whoever is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him of him will the Son of Man also be ashamed when he comes into the glory of his Father with the holy angels." Whew. Man. All right, guys, we gotta break this thing down, but just let that sink in. Like there's so many truths here. I don't even know if we have time to get to all of them. But just let's think through this, okay? All right. So in the beginning, right? Like, so Jesus is giving this message, and he's talking about that the Son of Man has to suffer these things. He's got to go through the suffering, then he's going to die, and then he's going to rise again, right? And what does Peter do? Peter jumps up in here, where are you at? And he said this plainly. And Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. And so what's happening? So Jesus says, "I got to suffer, I got to die, and then I'm going to rise." And Peter's like, no, like that's crazy. That doesn't meet my expectation, right? So Peter has all of this, like his thinking is in the kingdom of this world, right? He's thinking like, man, like we're going to start a new kingdom. Like Jesus is going to be the king and the emperor or whatever. Like I'm going to have, robes. I'm going to be, pompous. You know what I mean? Like he's thinking all this like earthly, he's very much in like rooted in this kingdom. And Jesus is saying like, this is a whole different picture. Like, no, you can't be thinking about this. Like, no, like suffering and then triumph, right? Suffering and then rising. And Peter's like, no, that can't be, right? And so then what does Jesus say? Jesus turns and rebukes him, and he says, "Get behind me, Satan." I was like, oh my goodness, like that's harsh. That's heavy. That's like why so why so strong of a rebuke? But then he says, But turning and seeing his disciples, he rebuked Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan, for you are not setting your minds on the things of God, but on the things of this world." And right here, yesterday, I was just thinking, like, man, how often do I do this? How often do I, you know, here's a good way to put it. How often do I, wish that I had a God who would put away the cross, right, and just let me be. Like I want the high stuff. I want the children's church God with the flowers, the fluffy, rainbows and clouds and stuff like that. I don't want the suffering portion, right? And how often do we do that, right? Like when life gets hard with the hospital beds and the bills and the rejection. Like how often do we say, like, no, Lord, like, let's not do it. That I got a better way. Like, my way is better, Lord. And Jesus is like, no. It's suffering before rising. And then he turns to the crowd and calling the crowd to him with his disciples. He said to them, "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me." And that's huge, right? So he's saying, not just like come to church and say, "Hey, Jesus is cool," but he's saying deny yourself, right? He's saying like you got to deny yourself. You got to say like almost with Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, "Not my will be done, but yours be done," right? Like Jesus is saying that following me might kill you. And you know what? Let me change that. Let me take out the might. It will kill you, and maybe not your body, but it's going to kill your pride, your ego. It's going to kill, your control, right? And so taking up that cross, like what is that cross? That cross is not just a necklace. It's not just a wristband. It's not just, a tattoo that we get on, but it's actually what the Romans, it was a stake that Romans would like tell criminals and rebels to carry to their death. Right? It was this is a heavy thing. And so Jesus is saying, pick up that cross. And the question is like, well, God, what is that cross of mine? Like, what is that thing that I've been putting away and said, no, like that's too heavy, that's too much, and he's saying, if anyone would want to follow me, you have to deny yourself, pick up that cross and follow me, right? For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake in the gospels will save it. And so it's just that same thing. So we love to stay in the bubble. We love to stay like, well, you know what? Hey, I got my little kingdom here, right? I got my little kingdom, and this is everything that I can control. Like, it's all my strengths, it's all my earthly wisdom, it's all these things that I can control and make myself feel safe and secure. And Jesus is saying, hey, deny that stuff, right? Like, come out to the deep where I'm lifting you up, I'm holding you up. And so it's not this place where, like, hey, if God isn't holding me up, like I'm sinking. If God isn't there, if God isn't sustaining this, then I'm going to sink. I'm going under, right? That's a hard place. Like that doesn't feel comfortable to be there, but we have to get comfortable in the uncomfortable. We have to invite the comforter in so that he can actually comfort us, in this moment where we're out of control. Like we're in his control, but we're out of our control. There is no room for ego. There is no room for pride. There is no room for these things because it's not, we're fully aware that it's not us doing it. Right. And so he's saying, deny ourselves of that ability to hold ourselves up and walk out into the deep where he sustains us. Right. And he says, for whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake and the gospels will save it. And I just, like, you think about that, right? Like so what do we give up? Let's keep going. Actually, for what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul? For what can a man? Yeah. So like if you just picture it like we get this, like we live in this life, and we're holding everything up. It's in our control. And we find success in business, we find success in family and all these other things, but we lose our soul. What do we lose? We lose our peace. We lose we lose our peace. We lose can't think of another thing. But we lose him, right? We gotta let go of that kingdom to gain our soul, right? And when we gain him, when we actually let go and we get him, what do we gain? We gain it all. We gain that John 10:10 abundant life. Like we live how God designed us to live in fullness. Like we actually get to walk out the destiny, the purpose. Like that was the other one I was thinking. We lose our purpose, right? We're just going through the motion. We're just going through life, and then 30 years later, like, man, what did I do with my life? Like you know, we've all felt that. Like what am I doing? I'm 37 years old. What have I accomplished with my life? Like we lose our purpose when all we're focused on is this kingdom. Until we step out into the deep and say, like, Lord, like, use me. I'm going to give you my yes. And you take my yes and like go to town with it. Right. That's when we live that abundant life. That's when everything comes to fruition. For what can a man give in return for his soul? For whoever is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him I will, the Son of Man, also be ashamed when I come into my glory, when I come into the glory of his Father and the holy angels. And this isn't like a threat. I think this is like a mirror. This is Jesus saying, like, if you can't do it, right? Because the world is loud and the world is angry and is yelling and screaming at all of us, you know, like, hey, be ashamed, you know, be ashamed of Christ. Like you like Christ was arrogant and all this other stuff. And so it's very much enticing for us to like go through life and like, hey, let's just put our, like, we believe in God, but we're not going to tell people. We're not, you know, we're just going to go through the motion. You know, we're not going to try to offend people or anything like that. We're just going to go through life. We're going to go through life and like try to be hidden, right? And Jesus is saying, like, if you do that, if you shy away and try to hide me, you know, from the world, then my hands are bound. I cannot represent. If you can't represent me, I cannot represent you. And so the encouragement here, the encouragement for me, the encouragement for all of us, is get alone with the Lord this week. I mean, especially like we're going into this Lent season.
Ash Wednesday
tomorrow, right? It starts tomorrow. Get into this space where we can start saying, God, I want to deny me. I want to, you know, find something to say, you know what, I'm going to give this up, right? I've been, you know, going through the motions with this, and I'm going to give this up for 40 days or whatever, and I'm going to pursue you. I'm going to step out into the deep. These next 40 days, I'm going to step out into the deep, and go after that abundant life. I'm going to give it all for Christ, right? Like, is it worth it? It's absolutely worth it to go 100% after the Lord, to give everything for Christ, to deny ourselves and follow him. So I hope this was a blessing for you. Is there anything else you want to add?
Oh my gosh, I could do a whole sermon right now.
I know.
But I think this it fits into everything that we're working on right now, right? I mean, that Jesus is saying, I'm going to the cross.
Yeah.
Which is the fulfillment of all messianic prophecies, because the only way for humanity to be saved is at the death and resurrection of Jesus.
Yeah.
For us to offer any other alternative is asking him to water down that work. And because I think this or I think that, and every time we do that, like Peter, we're going into the wrong kingdom.
Yeah.
So when he says, pick up your cross and follow me, he means be aware of roots that you still have in this kingdom, snip them, put them on the cross, and now figure out how to live that pattern differently.
Yeah.
That's fulfilling not the kingdom of this world, but his kingdom.
Yeah.
Our whole lives isn't crucifying ourselves. It's taking our old nature one piece at a time.
Yeah.
And saying, I haven't given this up yet. I'm putting it here. Never to take it back again. Forget 40 days. Start today and don't do it ever again.
Come on.
Right? Reclaim victory there. And then all of a sudden, our very lives become a proclamation of the gospel, because the cross is, we're a cross-centric church and we're cross-centric people.
Yeah.
My whole life is cross-centric.
Yeah.
I know what he did, so I now know what I have to do.
Come on.
And to do anything otherwise is to water down what he did. So I can't do that. Got to die to that. Right.
Yeah.
And so I say this Lent, what ugly pattern do you have in your life?
Come on.
Because it's not about 40 days. It's about life-changing transformation taking place in our lives so that we're not the same person we were yesterday.
Come on. Come on. And that's so good. It's so good. And I just want to end it with this, right? So that the picture that I was seeing of Reese and Louie, they stayed for a good 30 minutes in that shallow area, and they were having a blast. But they didn't actually have until they got to the deep, and then Louie and Reese put their hand underwater for the first time, and they were so excited. They didn't experience the fullness until they went out into the deep.
Yep.
And that's what we're saying. This isn't this oh, I'm gonna go through life with these chains. No, it's actually the opposite.
It's releasing chains.
It's like we think that this is safety. We think that this is, but we're actually holding ourselves in captivity. And once we step out into the deep and experience what God created us to experience in life, then we actually experience freedom.
Hence Jesus' words, get behind me, Satan.
Yeah.
You're grabbing a lie right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't afford you to grab a lie right now. I need you to look at the truth right now and take the lie to the cross. The cross is always going to be what you need.
Come on. So good. So good. We got to get out of here, y'all.
Somebody wants to pray in a little bit.
Yeah. But Reggiani, Steve is doing good. He is home now. Not out of the water, but he's home and in good spirits. I was texting with him last night. He's doing good. And it was cool. He said that when he was in the hospital, he could physically feel prayers coming through. So let's just keep lifting him up and loving on him. But yeah.
And if you're coming back for prayer, say go Lions, go Red Wings, go something inside of your post just for Mr. Jackson's overall well-being.
There we go. Alice said she can listen to this all day. Oh, thank you, Alice. All right. Love you guys. We got to go.
Gotta go.